Welcome back to another episode of Getting Personal. I'm here today with Jonas, OG HBAR NFT creator, 3D artist, 4D artist, and founder of Bionasys. How you doing, Jonas? Are you ready to get personal?
Hey Jack, yeah, thank you for the invite. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for the interview. Um, I haven't been come online or show my face a lot of times, maybe once when I was doing the Hedera Cafe or the Hedera Talk here in Belgium. But yeah, it's me. I'm Bionasys, living in Belgium, and it's freezing right now. So yeah,
Let's get you warmed up. We'll get you warmed up
yeah,
with
yeah,
conversation.
perfect.
Nice. First, I want to start off with a hot take. Actually, like, why, as an artist, why did you pick Hedera? Why not another chain? Like, how did you end up on Hedera? Why did you choose to stay?
Oh, that was like in 2017 or something. I was doing research about cryptocurrencies. I was investing in Bitcoin, Ethereum at that time, because yeah, everybody did. I think the first coins, and then I was looking for like, yeah, what's the next thing? I mean, what's better than blockchain? Because I knew it was already existing for so long. It was kind of old technology in IT terms. In IT, everything goes very fast. So I was looking on the internet, and I don't know, somewhere I found on some kind of forum, I saw somebody mentioning Hedera, like, hey, you have to check this out. They have really next level mathematics and all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, maybe let's check it out. And I was starting to look at it, and I saw Lehman and Mans, and I was like, these guys look sketchy. I don't know. I didn't know them from the beginning, you know. I was like, who are these people? What do they do? Where do they come from? What are their goals? So I started looking at YouTube because that was probably the first thing I did was watching all Lehman Baird's films on YouTube. I think I didn't miss one. So I started there and digging in Hedera and digging and yeah, and I came to the conclusion that this thing was like you know a lot better than blockchain technology and more safe, more scalable, all you name it, all these things. So yeah, and the reason why I did it was like it's so efficient. It doesn't use a lot of energy. I am a person that cares about the environment and the ecology. Also from my background, I was an engineer before. I was also watching at this, and yeah, I saw there was super efficient and so lightweighted compared to Bitcoin. That made me jump in the crypto world. Yeah, and I stayed there and until now. And I started making NFTs in 2021, was it? 2021 in October, I guess. After a bit, the big Corona started. I transformed my life, and during Corona, I went from an engineer to a 3D artist,
Wow.
um, in just 6 months or something. So yeah, that's life-changing moment for me.
It
Um,
was it was
yeah,
definitely it felt like when we went through that period it was a revolutionary or transformational time for many people. Like I know a lot of people that really changed their lives drastically during
yes.
during those times of lockup, and a lot of beautiful things and new things have come from that as well.
Yeah, I think for the better. I think everybody was like thinking about themselves and what I'm gonna do with my life and what is it the thing that I'm doing? Is it that I like to do? Is it what I'm gonna keep doing or something? And people started thinking and thinking, and I know a lot of people that changed course during that period because they had the time to think.
Mm.
Most people they don't have enough time because they're always busy and with work and all these things that distract you from the real thing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
what do you like and what are your skills? What are your hobbies? Can you make from your hobby your work? And that's the perfect thing to be in. Is that you don't feel that you're working. It feels like a hobby.
It was kind of like a mandatory meditation.
Yes, yes. Yeah, well, I didn't like what I was doing. I was working as a BIM manager and also in Amsterdam. I was working in the algorithm. I mean, I like what I was doing, but there were some things that I didn't like working in traditional company, okay, the IT is quite flexible, not bad at all, but yeah, the thing that you need to be there for 8 hours, all these hours sitting there, I hate it. I hate it. I want to choose my own hours and, choose what I want to do as a freelance. It's much more flexible.
Nice.
And you don't have to be entrepreneur or whatever you call it. Like you had to put that at one um, video about it. That I totally agree with. Not everybody has the skills or whatever, but you can be a freelance worker. You can also choose your own hours. You don't need to be an entrepreneur or whatever you call it these days. You can, choose your own hours, do what you like, and see where the boat goes.
Nice. But before we get into that, and we can talk a little bit more about Bionasys and what you do now. You mentioned something to do with algorithms, and I just love to ask you, like, what before Web3, before that time where you found Bitcoin and then Hedera, before all of that, before the crypto madness and that revolutionary moment that you had during that time and change in your life, who were you? Who were you as a person, and what were you doing, and what led you? Like, what's been your foundational studies and work that's led up to Bionasys?
Basically, I was doing a lot of sports, and I was an engineer. That was my life before. I was playing football on high level, so a lot of my time was going to football. And besides that, I was an engineer. I studied engineering in the construction, and I started working as a site manager, chef du chantier in French.
Uh-huh.
Um, so yeah, I was working on the construction site for 1 year and a half. We were laying gas lines, gas pipelines in the city center or in the field, cross country. That was my job. Basically putting or providing people with gas, natural gas to warm their houses.
And
That
do
was
you
my,
see any of the things that you did during those years and what you learned that you've transferred skill wise into what you do now?
yeah, sure. The social skills, especially on the construction site, you need to know how you talk to people with respect. Otherwise, you don't get respect back. Um, Always be humble. Don't start floating or whatever happens in life. Always stay with your feet on the ground, because you're gonna bump your head against the wall one time and then it's gonna be big time. So yeah, no, mostly social skills on the construction site, and then next to that, because I didn't stay as a project manager for the whole time, where I moved on to the design phase of the construction. That's where I started developing the love for the algorithms, because I was working in the parametric sector for the construction, so we were parametrically designing buildings. And that's when I, started seeing the power of computational design. Is what we see today, like buildings like Zaha Hadid, Fostner, all these big architects. They make these organic looking like buildings, and to me that was like, wow, I wanna do this as well. It looks so amazing, creating, this organically, floating shaped building is it's crazy because the years before it was not possible. It was always like straight, simple architecture, and they call it simple architecture because they could not, or the creativity wasn't there. They just started making boring houses. You see this a lot in the current world. That's what I hate to see is that it's always needs to be cheap, fast, and easy to build. Um, that's what I hate because the traditional methods we build our houses with are like constrained. Takes away the big creativity of the architect. Um, so yeah, that's why we build boring houses, in my opinion, and that's gonna be a big backlash because creating a boring community creates depressive people. It has a big impact on behavior, and that's what people don't see or underestimate. They're like, yeah, but it's fine. I can live in this building, and yeah, it's fine for a couple of years until you start living there for 10, 20 years. Everything is boring. Like it's in the Netherlands. The Netherlands is they look all the same, the houses, and you got more depressed people because of that. You have to create a vibrant, dynamic, different, ecological, all these things of nature need to be implemented in communities and big projects for housing. If you don't do that, it's not a long-term project. It's like simple, short-term. These building promoters, they always, think about the money instead of
Yeah.
how the people would live there, and that's a bit my big problem with construction and in general, the social community.
It's super interesting because it just makes sense, right? If your environment's not vibrant, that's going to reflect into you, right? And it's kind of there's going to be this
Yes,
like feedback loop between you and your environment. So
yes,
is this like moving on to talk a little bit about Bionasys? Is that part of the mission? Like, what is Bionasys? Does what you like the problem that you see? Are you trying to solve that somehow with what you're doing now? Because I see some of your art, and we can talk about that. It's very vibrant, so it kind of makes sense that that thought process and what you're doing now tied together, right?
yeah, that's true. The thing that I had in the construction was the lack of creativity. That's why I went to the animation industry. It's a lot more creative. I
Mm.
can do a lot more free forms, shapes, whatever I want to do. I don't have many constraints like in the architecture. That's why I changed to the animation industry, and also partially to make Hedera much more known by making visuals, and in the hope that people would share it on Twitter and everywhere, that they see the logo of Hedera. That's why I have the H in the logo. That was a big thing from the beginning. It was to promote Hedera, like free promotion for Hedera, basically, and people would share it. Like maybe the liquid H bar is one of my most famous NFTs, and
Hmm.
that's their big H bar, so people can see it's H bar is alive, and we have a community, and we are building, and people should join us because we have technically the best network there is. So yeah. But that's the first vision. But the long-term vision is that I start doing 3D printing, 3D printing with special materials, not with plastic, not with biocompostable. Biocompostable maybe, but I would like to go more to biodegradable, materials. Um, I have something in my closet. I can show you just a second because it's amazing. This this is mycelium. It's it's mushroom. It's the mushroom network underground.
Ah, mycelium.
Yes, it's completely biodegradable.
Yeah.
It has fibers in it from hemp to make it more structurized, stable. It's really
Hmm.
stable. I can keep it outside. It doesn't degrade. It starts degrading only under certain conditions. When the pH is met, the moisture, all these chemical parameters. So yeah, that's the big vision that I want to go to in the future, is to print with 3D materials and have NFTs used for service. So you can print, something that you bought, like a digital product you bought, but you can print it when you have the NFT.
I love it. So
So,
what kind of things do you see people printing in the future?
oh, all kind of things. I'm not gonna say too much. I'm not gonna share my secrets. But yeah, you'll see in the future. I will translate more from 3D art into more 3D physical, like from digital art into physical objects, um, with
Love
also
it.
a nice render with it. So like a nice render and a physical object that you can print anytime.
Nice.
That's the
And what do you, when you first had the idea of Bionasys, like has it changed since the original idea? Has it evolved? Is it still on the same track towards that, like from that original point? Like how has the journey been since you started out, and how has it changed?
yeah, it's still on the track, but maybe a bit less than before. I started off with really clear Hedera signs and all that stuff. But I started making more abstract art, maybe less correlated with Hedera. But lately I'm doing again those NFTs that are more correlated with Hedera, because I
Hmm.
was wanted to do something else after all these after 2 years or something. Yeah, I wanted to do some other stuff than always Hedera. So yeah, maybe I could reach other type of people, other type of public that are more into abstract art and not into Hedera related art. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I still do that. I still do that. Yeah, I
Nice.
don't know. I
And
just do what I like to do.
love it. What's been like since you've been in Web3 for you personally? What's been your biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge is to keep evolving. Is to keep changing. What do people want to see, and what do I like to do? Some balance in between.
Mm,
I see the space changing a lot. There are a lot of new things coming. You can see the hype. One hype to another hype to another hype to another hype. It's all the time like that. I try to stay on my course, and I don't like to follow as a sheep the hype. I like to do my own thing. Yeah, that's basically what I try to do, is not being a sheep in the community, because I see in my world people are copying a lot each other. They
uh-huh.
look, oh, this is cool. I need to make this as well. In the NFT community in general, oh, somebody on Ethereum does that. We have to do that as well. Like we copy each other a lot, and that sometimes loses your uniqueness, the real, spirit of the project,
Yeah.
because you start copying other projects, and I'm not a big fan of that. Okay, when there's a good idea, obviously, but try to come up with your own ideas. Try to be innovative, that people copy you instead of you copying others. um,
Yeah, that's where you
that
want to be.
that's the goal. Yeah, yeah. Then
Nice.
you're a real influencer. Otherwise, you're just copying.
Yeah. So, talking about uniqueness, let's tell me a little bit about the rings of time, because I know you're auctioning them off as we speak, right? And like,
Yes.
I imagine there's a story behind them, and it's authentic to you, right? There's something there that you're sharing through this 3D digital art. So, tell me about the rings of time.
Yeah. The idea from Rings of Time is that I wanted to create a completely parametric designed collection. And I came up with the rings, because the ring, the shape of a ring is, it's you can do a lot of things with rings. It's the creativity boundaries are endless with rings, and especially if you combine this with parametric design, you can start making all kinds of different rings. And I wanted to make abstract art, that was initially what was like static, but I was sharing this with some other people, and they're like, hey, this would be cool if this was animated. And I was like, yeah, maybe, but it takes more time. And then after a while, I started, yeah, maybe I should animate these, because it's going to look very cool if I animate this instead of just a static picture. And yeah, that's why I started animating them, and using parametric design to animate them, creating all different kind of types of rings, all different kind of extrusions, whatever scales, anything I can do in parametric design, to make it, not too long, because otherwise the render time was huge. Because
Yeah.
I've been working like 3 months on this collection in total. I put so many hours in this collection, so I'm selling them for like very cheap prices, in my opinion. And they go for like 40, 50 euros or 35 euros, depending on the HBAR price. So that's really cheap compared to the hours I have put in this collection of sitting here nights, hours, tweaking, working, changing, testing, lightning, everything. Struggling with the maths, do some lookup on Google to solve problems in the maths, and glitches, bugs, everything. I learned so much during this process. I learned so much in Blender. I know I had one problem, that I was, animating the ring, but the textures were like glitching because the underlying mesh is changing. Because I was extruding it, I was, making all kinds of shapes with the mesh. So the mesh underneath changes. That's why the textures on the mesh also change. That's not what I wanted. Because every time the ring was turning, it was like the meshes were like glitching. It's like, what the hell is this? Nobody wants to watch this. So I was looking for a solution. It took me a while because Blender has some limitations on caching. It doesn't store the data that is changing. It only stores the initial data, which is stupid. Been talking to developers as well to implement it over time, and they're hopefully going to do that. That's why I had to find another way. And basically, the way that I solved it was projecting from a duplicate ring. So I made the most stretchable ring that was possible for that ring. So during this 10 seconds, it was at its peak that it was most stretched. The mesh was most stretched. And that's where I duplicated the ring. And then I projected the texture from that ring on the original ring. So it could change and then everything as it wants, and it doesn't change the texture because the texture is projected on the ring and it's fixed on the other ring, so it's fixed on the original ring. I hope you understand a little bit.
I think
But
I think I'm getting the gist, and I think this example that you're sharing, and even the name parametric, right? It already, I think for most people, they're probably not 100% sure what that is. They probably have to Google it. But
yeah,
listening to you, it allows me to see it, or get a sense of what goes into these rings of time, right?
yeah,
And like you say, they haven't maybe been selling at the prices that you would like, but it is going back to what you said earlier. People want things cheap, quick, and fast. No, I think you said.
mm-hmm,
But there is a
mm-hmm.
market of people, like even with restaurants. I'm a chef myself. Not everyone likes to go to let's say an expensive restaurant or a high end restaurant and pay
Exactly.
a certain amount to get that food. They'd rather just go to a cheap place, right? But there is a market for it.
Yes,
For those who appreciate the either the good food or the high end art. So I think there's definitely a market for that kind of art, and I personally really appreciate it. Even if I don't understand it fully, I can see it and I can feel it and really appreciate it.
it's 100% exactly what I wanted to say. I also have like a white paper about the rings of time where I showed a little bit of the parametric design with visuals, and I explained how I made it and how I came to the full parametric flow. Because basically, if I merge all these 31 rings, all the algorithms, if I merge them in one big algorithm, I can start generating hundred thousands of rings with different kind of aspects.
Wow, that's like
Yeah,
the on Ethereum or other chains. There's a lot of these generative art projects, right? Like the Squiggle. Heard of the Squiggle?
no, yeah, but it's
Um,
probably the same idea to generate 10,000
yeah,
different.
with an
Yeah,
algorithm, right? And when you actually mint the NFT, it generates in the moment. So even the art, neither the artist or the minter knows what they're going to get. Something like
yeah,
that.
yeah. It's like a
Yeah,
randomized.
that's really cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's actually the first idea I had, but it wasn't possible at that moment to do it on Hedera. Um, I
Is it
don't
possible
know.
now?
I don't know because you have to have like a geometry flow behind it. Each time you press mint, the algorithm needs to spit out something new that's
Uh,
completely randomized, and all the parameters needs to be attached or needs to be linked with the algorithm. So you change some parameters on the website or the NFT minting website, and then these parameters are like linked with the algorithm that's behind the website.
I
Um,
I want to mint one of those. Can you make it
yeah,
happen?
I don't know. I don't know. Takes a lot of time to merge because now all the algorithms are like separated.
Uh-huh.
I can generate within this algorithm also different kind of types, a lot of them. But if all these 30 algorithms are merged in one big algorithm, oh
Wow.
boy, I can make maybe a million rings or something. But I cannot animate these because otherwise my computer is, it's gonna burn straight away. Maybe I can make pictures, yes, statics, but
Uh-huh.
animations, no, That's too long. Takes too long.
Yeah, there's a really famous one on Ethereum as well. I forget the name. That yeah, they're statics. They're like pieces of art. It's similar color palette and kind of style, but each one is unique, you know. And some of them have come out and become super valuable, and others are just like standard. And it's all
Yeah,
based on this algorithm. It's super fascinating.
yeah, yeah. This is basically the same thing that they are using. Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's
nice.
what we were doing in Amsterdam as well, basically. But for a building, complete building, 100% building, cables, pipelines, interior, everything. As people were changing some parameters on the website,
Uh-huh.
and behind that we used WebGL. It was for visualizing what you were doing. But behind the website there was an algorithm running, and people would just change parameters, and then the algorithm spits out a new type of building or how many stories you wanted, all that things. But for real buildings, the first
Wow.
platform in the world that did that. We were the first one in the world, that we're using this kind of technology. So you could basically build it straight out of the website. So the drawings went to the CNC machines to start, cutting the metals or whatever. All the materials came out of there, everything. So that
I
was
love how you've taken that kind of knowledge and program, infused it with your own creativity, right?
yeah,
And doing what you're doing today. It's really cool, man. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, or where would you like to see yourself in 5 years with Bionasys?
5 years. I would like to do more freelance work, and there are gonna be some more projects upcoming. I've been working for some projects I cannot speak about because they're not released yet. On Hedera and not on Hedera. So I got two types of
Amazing.
networks where I'm working on.
So
Um, so
just
yeah,
just for
basically,
just so people know, like apart from your own art, you do like freelance work. You can
yes,
offer the same kind of art, I guess, or what do you
yeah,
offer people when it
anything,
comes to projects? Anything.
anything they like. Yeah, I kind of am all around. I do rigging, I do charactering. I already made a 10,000 NFT collection with characters and with people, and I haven't shared it because it's not released yet. Um,
All
it's not
right.
on Hedera. I'm trying to convince these people to come to Hedera. They want to go to Binance, BNB.
Get them
But
on a call with me. I'll tell them all about Hedera and get
yeah,
like
yeah,
well between the two
yeah,
of us, maybe we can
yeah.
convince
But
them.
they're kind of diehard in in the
Binance,
idea.
interesting.
I have no idea. I told them like, hey, dudes, we saw it a couple of months ago with Binance and problems.
Mm.
If that's a bigger problem, then you're done. Your project is done. You're so depending on Binance on one company. It's centralized. It's completely centralized. I don't understand the idea. It's just because people are there, and a lot of people are on Binance chain. That's the problem. That's what they attract them. It's the people.
It's
Uh,
the attention economy.
exactly, and that's how it works. People don't look at the technicals, or like we look more at the technicals or the
Hmm.
Hedarians in general. But most people they just look like, where are the most people? Oh, Solana. Okay, we go to Solana. I don't care if it's safe. I don't care if it's you know scalable or high fees or low fees. There are a lot of people there. I can make money. I go there. It's all hype. It's all cheap behavior or sheep behavior. So yeah, that's why we see not, that's why we don't have the biggest community right now. But if our community grows a lot, this attracts other people. That's what we need to do, is to
Yeah.
attract a lot more people to our community, that we have a vibrant community like Solana has. And then, a lot of people will come, automatically. Then you don't have to do anything anymore. It attracts other people. That's what we need to do this year, I think, in 2024, is make our community a lot more bigger.
Yeah,
And
agreed.
we can talk about techniques and all that stuff, but that's not gonna work.
Yeah,
People don't care.
we've kind of
Yeah.
been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's move on to growing that community and creating
Yeah.
some hype. I mean, you mentioned earlier about the hype. I guess more than hype, it's excitement, right? And awareness and bringing
Mm-hmm.
new eyeballs to the chain, not just for the tech, but
No.
for all the other amazing stuff that's going on here.
Exactly. People don't care about the tech. They care about money. That's how it is. No. So we
So
need to make our community attractive as most as possible. What we are doing now with TVL on Saucer Swap is going higher and higher. So that's
yeah,
a good step. So I guess 2024 will be a good year. I hope. I hope. Also with the H bar price, let's see what happens. Because the distributed amount of H bars is quite a lot now. I remember in the beginning when I saw Hedera, the like 15-year plan. We are way ahead on 15-year plan. It's also a bit, not really well done in my opinion. But then the people can stop complaining about inflation about Hedera. When they release H bars, it's inflation. Then they can stop complaining about that as well. Like almost all H bars are
oh,
distributed, so
they'll
that's
find
not a
something else to
that's
complain.
not an argument
They'll,
anymore.
they'll find something else.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah,
what are you most excited about this year, 2024? Like personally, or for Bionasys, what are you most excited about?
the regulatory side of crypto. Not excited, but I'm curious what is going to happen.
Uh-huh.
ETFs is to bridge the traditional finance with the decentralized finance. That's why we need ETFs for crypto. That people that basically don't know anything about crypto, they don't want to make wallets, they don't want to make crypto. They're scared of this. They don't know how it works, so that's why they don't do it. That's why we need to bridge the traditional finance with the decentralized finance through ETFs, but not only for Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is it's a hype coin. In my opinion, it's okay. It's the Godfather, is the first one, but it doesn't have enough use cases to survive. People that say it's the stock of value, it's a stock of value. That's because they give it value from their own minds. I'm not a big Bitcoin fan anymore. I was in the beginning, but I'm not anymore. Seeing all the things Hedera can do for a peanuts amount of energy. It's basically doing the same thing, putting everything in consensus transaction orders. So it's what Bitcoin actually does, but really slow and with a lot of energy needed. And it's going to centralize anyway, let's face it. All these Bitcoin farms are going to be ruling everything because, all these smaller ones are going to die out because of the halving. It's going to get more and more difficult to solve the mathematical problem to get rewards. So that's why Lehman also said it. Lehman already a couple of years ago that Bitcoin is going to be centralized. There are going to be 2-3 big mining farms, and they're going to migrate from country to country where the electricity is most cheap. Centralized locally, like geographically centralized, and also centralized in terms of how many miners there are. So, I don't believe it anymore. Sorry. Yeah.
Well, all I can say is I'm glad this talk about Bitcoin wasn't at the beginning of the interview, because otherwise, Bitcoin maxis or people that are really into Bitcoin wouldn't have learned about Bionasys.
Yeah, I'm not against Bitcoin, to be clear. I'm not against it, but I see it dying out over time. That's why I think the technology behind it was nice in the beginning. The idea was perfect. That was great, but Lehman did it better. Lehman did it far more better. He's much more genius in terms of the math. I cannot, every time when I see a new coin, I refer it to Hedera because it's for me then the golden standard in mathematics. The genius thing, the design, the architecture of Hedera, it's amazing.
I think
Um,
with your background as well in mathematics and computational, all the stuff that you do, that you kind of grasp the genius of it, right? Like a lot of
yeah,
us understand that the tech is amazing, but the mathematical part, that's the part that you've been able to digest and really, understand
yes.
it and say, wow, like this really is even more than, most people think or understand about Hedera.
Yeah, true. And it all comes down to the maths. It's we used to have middle person every day, like in our everyday lives. Now we have middle person, but now the maths is the middle person. So you have to trust on the maths. If you
Uh-huh.
don't trust the maths, then you don't trust the platform. And if you don't understand the math, then you don't understand the platform. You understand because other people say it, and you start learning from other people that are experts. I know not everybody has the knowledge and the intelligence to understand what is really going on layer one, on, you know, at the beginning, at the core, the
Yeah,
consensus. That's
good
fine
stuff.
if you don't understand it, but you have to have people that understand it and that can explain it. Like Lehman is a really good teacher. He's a big magician, but he's also a good teacher, and that's it. That's important. He can explain difficult things in simple terms, and that then you understand it.
Yeah,
If you
it's so crucial, isn't it? So important. Being able to
yes,
to communicate that, to translate it, is just such a big component.
yes.
Is there anything we haven't mentioned, we haven't talked about, or any questions I haven't asked you that you would have liked me to ask? And if so,
Uh,
how would you have answered, or what would it be?
that's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. I think we talked about a lot. Yeah, I
Amazing.
just want to talk a bit more about the rings. Yeah, if people want to buy the rings, they're, you know, super sales. I cannot sell them for more cheaper. It's absolutely the lowest I can go. Um, Please support my work. That would be nice, so I can continue the journey.
Nice.
Um, yeah, I can. Yeah, it would be nice if they
Where
were
where
all
can
sold
people,
out.
where can people find the Rings of Time?
They can find it on sentiment markets, on the auctions. You know, when the auctions are done, I'm going to list them all for 500 HBAR. So if you are interested and you missed the auction, no worries. You can still
Cool.
buy them in the future for 500 HBAR. And then, yeah, they're going to be listed forever. So you can buy them there. Um, yeah, I
Nice.
hope
Well,
people will do it and I can sell it out, because I think, yeah, maybe 80% of my collections are sold out right now, of art, which is, yeah, not easy.
yeah,
I see all these utility tokens and all that stuff, and yeah, as an artist, it's not easy. Um, you know, because I don't make promises, I don't make fake promises. I see a lot of utility tokens that make fake promises, and people buy it, and that breaks my heart. Because people put their money in some scam that only makes the owners rich, not the people that are in it. So yeah, I don't do that. I don't make fake promises. I don't. Yeah, mine is just art. I'm not gonna, or not for the moment, gonna mix it with utility, because I don't believe in the combination. It kills the art, kills the idea of the art. A nice visual for utility token is nice, but it's, yeah, not art in that terms. So yeah, that's why I separate it for now. Maybe with the 3D printing in the future, I'm gonna start, you know, connecting.
I'm very excited for that. I'm
Yeah.
excited for the 3D printing because I definitely see a future. Even, I mean, eventually everything will be Web3, right? But I see outside of Web3, I have friends who work with the printing of food. Like there's a lot of printing going on in many different industries, right? And I can see a future where
hmm
maybe we all have a 3D printer at home, potentially,
Yes.
you know?
Yes. It's like you have a computer at home. You will have a
Yeah.
3D printer. Yeah.
Yeah. So that excites me. I love that you're looking into that. And then the algorithmic generative art, that would be really cool as well. To be the first to do that on Hedera.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I think I'm the first. I'm not using AI. I make my own AI, as so to speak. I don't like AI art, to be honest. I think it's lazy, cheap.
Does,
Everybody
does,
can
it,
do it.
does it feel
You
like
don't
an
need
insult?
skills.
Does it feel
Sorry?
like an insult?
It's not an insult. You can use it for different kind of purposes, but don't sell it as art, please. Don't
Fair
do it.
enough.
It's not a human emotions in it. It's just a
Fair enough.
computer, and the computer doesn't have emotions. And you can use it for visualizing tokens, utility tokens. Okay, I agree, but don't sell it as art. It's not art. It's generated by the computer. And a prompt engineer, okay, yeah, but everybody can be a prompt engineer, to be honest. You don't need you don't need a lot of skills for that.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, Jonas. It's just hearing your story, learning more about Bionasys. And yeah, appreciate you for taking the time. I look forward to releasing this for the community to get more personal with you and get to know Jonas a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you, Jack. It was amazing. Thank you for the invite. Yeah, I could show some things that people don't see from myself, from my side. So I'm happy that people can get to know me better. And I hope they're on the same page or the same terms with me. If not, we're not enemies, we're still friends, but we have food to discuss about. If people want to prove me wrong, DM me. I'm happy to discuss about it. So thank you so much for the interview. It was real fun.